Alright, this is a follow-up to my first video, getting the made up ish out your mind. This is a part 2. So I already touched on it, but your subconscious thoughts dictate your actions. You know what I'm saying? Laws of attraction, they'll tell you if you want to manifest something, it's all about your belief. So what you believe about yourself is one of the things that help to manifest your reality. You know what I'm saying? Most things we have been taught to believe about ourselves are far from the truth. I touched on that in part 1, or a little bit, with like the body image and, you know, age shit, like thinking you're too old for certain things and stuff like that. Most of that stuff isn't even true. You know what I'm saying? Who's attractive, who's not attractive, all of that stuff is subjective, and all of that stuff is just based on person to person and what you personally think. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have an accurate account of our history. So we believe things happen to us when we really aren't that sure. Remember, what you manifest is based on your beliefs. So, for example, you may believe that if you ain't as dark as Akon, so even somebody like me, you know what I'm saying, I'm not the lightest person in the world, but if you're not as dark as Akon, because these are the narratives we grew up hearing, somewhere along the lines, like some white man raped your grandma, you know what I'm saying, and that's the reason why you're fair skinned. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fucked up thing to believe, you know. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that stuff wasn't happening, but just because something happened at one place or happened to one person doesn't speak for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Melanated women can naturally give birth to any skin tone, even no matter what their skin tone is. That's just something that we possess the ability to do. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a whole bunch of different DNA and a whole bunch of different ancestors, you know what I'm saying? We already came in a bunch of different skin tones when we was originally here. We was already various shades of brown, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't just all dark as night and then we had to start mixing to get lighter. No, we were already different various shades. We already had various hair textures, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of how dark your skin is. That didn't have anything to do with it. Now, am I not saying that didn't happen again? Yes, stuff like that has happened and it has been documented, but you don't know if it happened to you because you haven't looked into it yet. And until you look at your history, you don't know nothing about your history. You know somebody else's story. You can have your master's in history and not know shit about yourself and your history. You know what I'm saying? So you're believing something that's subconsciously affecting you. And it may not even be true. You know what I'm saying? Going back to like the slavery thing. You don't even know if your family comes from slavery. You don't know what their story is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people was indentured servants. There's a big difference. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? An indentured servant worked and then got land and shit and stuff after. Consider them like a prisoner or like a living butler or whatever, but them niggas got their own afterwards. It was only during their indenture. Like, and then after that, their contract was up. They benefited. You know what I'm saying? They got land and other shit promised to them. A lot of people have that story and haven't reconnected with it yet. But that's a way different story than the one that you might have been made to believe. You know what I'm saying? So if you believe that you was a slave, then you're going to act like one. A lot of the reasons why we put up with the things that we do is because we subconsciously believe that we were slaves, or we tie everything back to slavery subconsciously. So when you're in like an abusive relationship or something, you may subconsciously in your mind be like, well, you know, back in the day, the ancestors, you know, they was getting the shit beat out of them, and that's the reason why this be happening, because we learned it from the slave master. And you know, you might be rationalizing or having that conversation subconsciously, so you just put up with a lot of stuff naturally. It doesn't even have to be an abusive relationship with a significant other. You could be having an abusive relationship with your job, and subconsciously you're letting it happen because in your mind you're grateful to have the job, even when it's not high paying. But even if it is high paying, it doesn't matter, because what's your soul worth? What is it worth having a high-paying job if it's draining your energy? So you might be subconsciously putting up with that because in your mind you're like, oh, well, my ancestors used to get whipped. Oh, they never had this type of opportunity. Oh, they didn't have the ability to get jobs. So you know what I'm saying? So I gotta go through this. So it ain't nothing, you know. I should just be thankful that I'm getting this opportunity. Not even realizing that you probably come from people who own land and probably was running their own business or running their own farm or something. You know what I'm saying? And the family tradition just never kept going on. If you was connected with that story, not saying every just the same way everybody don't have the slave story. Not everybody's gonna have these other stories either. That's why you have to do your due diligence to connect with your own story to help you reprogram your mind and help you reprogram what you believe about yourself, which is going to help change your reality. That's what the whole point of this is. When you start reconnecting with your own story, you start to see this type of stuff. It changes your whole perspective. You know what I'm saying? Now you're going to be at the job like, well, shit, nigga. You might be motivated to start your own business if you knew you was coming from farmers, because you were going to believe that you could do it because they was already doing it. You know what I'm saying? And that'll just happen naturally. You know what I'm saying? You might not want to put up with that shit. You might not want to put up with certain stuff. And that's all just changing that one small thing. And I'm not even getting into, I'd have to keep making more videos. I'm not even getting into all the other things that we believe about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But the slavery and the ancestor stories is like, niggas love bringing up these trauma stories about our ancestors. And everyone's always saying we and our. Nigga, we ain't cousins. So how the fuck is it we and our? You know what I'm saying? No, it's your ancestor. You need to do your due diligence and research about them on your own. You got to do your own genealogy. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to get out these made up stories. You will be surprised what you will hear. And all what it's going to do is just change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Change your whole reality. It's going to make you feel more empowered. Even if you do find out that your ancestor was a slave or something. Because I guarantee when you read about it and you get into more of the details and stuff, it's not going to be like what you was seeing on Roots. It's going to be a way different story, you know what I'm saying? Or if you just had a better explanation of what was going on the time, you know, in full detail, not the stories that were given, it would make more sense to you. You know what I'm saying? You have to get this made up stuff out your mind because it's part of the reason that holds you back. It's part of the thing that devalues yourself. That's why I say to see yourself as royalty. Why do you see yourself at the bottom of the totem pole? Because you've been trained to be that way. And you think that your life has always been like that. Because you don't know anything about yourself because you never took the time to show interest in yourself. Because no one's ever told you that or made you feel like you were special for real. So why would I look into my story? I'll look into Rihanna's. I'll look into LeBron's story. I'll look into Kobe's story. I'll look into all these other different people's story. But I'll never look into mine. Because I must not value myself in that type of way. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out of that. If you want to have a valuable life, it starts with you and how you feel about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, then you ain't going to have no good life. You know what I'm saying? And these are the tools you use to get the bullshit out your mind that makes you feel disempowered. Because even if you do have a slave story, that might only be one side of the family. You know what I'm saying? That might only be one ancestor. Because I can do more videos about what life was really like back then. And that shit was more like prison. And is like prison because it's still going on than it was like Roots. So even if you do come up with that story, you have other stories that you could be missing out on that could just change your whole perspective, but you don't know. You got to reconnect with it. This just changes your whole thinking. You know what I'm saying? It takes you out of the victim and makes you empowered, regardless of what comes up. I can't even fully, I feel like, articulate. It's just something you have to experience. So I want you to try it for yourself. Remember, your thoughts and what you're manifesting is going to be based on, you know, what you believe and all of that. All those stuff go together. And like, if you try to imagine yourself as a slave and getting whipped and stuff, what you think your life gonna reflect as? You know what I'm saying? You got to get that shit out your mind. We don't even know that our last names are really our last name. You don't, like, we've been told so much wrong information that just makes us devalue ourselves. We the only people in the world walking around like this. Your last name is Samuels and someone is like, nah, you were supposed to have an African name. Your name was supposed to be Ooga Booga Booga. You know what I'm saying? The super duper powerful, you know, slave master just came and changed your whole trajectory of your life over. You know what I'm saying? This is the way our life story is being presented to us by everyone. You know what I'm saying? The woke people and the people in school. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is you need to get in touch with your story. Stop talking about we and our and get in touch with your story to help you reprogram your mind, to help get you your reality right. You know what I'm saying? Because there is no our reality, it's your reality. It's what you're here to do. It's what you need to find out about yourself. It's what you need to heal within yourself. It's what journey that you're on. You got to start making it more personal. And then when you get to a certain point, then you can talk about coming together. Then we can work on the we. But if you ain't work on the you can't be getting to no we. You know what I'm saying? You ain't useful in the we yet. You got to work on the you first. You know, so hopefully this video helps. You know, hopefully it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I'll be making these videos. My spirit tell me to do it. These are things from experience that help me. Like I talked about it in the interview with Jet. I used to be the super duper RGB nigga. I used to just be like, fuck them crackers 24/7 and all of that. Just wasted my energy until I got in tune with my real story. And I'm like, man, I can't believe I wasted all that energy talking like that, thinking like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me not pretend like there's certain systems and stuff like that at hand. That's not what I'm talking about. Or like how I've avoided that, or I've never experienced certain things I had to go through, certain prejudice and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. I take that stuff out of my mind. I stop looking at myself like the world is against me and start looking at it like it's my favor. Stop saying things like I'm a black man, the world gonna be hard for me. I start looking at it like, man, I'm a black man, the world is easy for me. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit I'm talking about, getting that made up shit out your mind. Who told you that the world was gonna be hard for you? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how it looks. There's so many more videos I gotta make on stuff like this, because there's just so much shit that they do to make our minds limited and small, and they play with the truth. When you deprogram and reprogram, you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. You can start focusing on yourself and what you're here to do. We are greater than what we know. When you realize that, and when you're open to understanding that, you're gonna start having a greater life, because it's all about how you feel about yourself. So if you feel like you descend from great niggas and you a great nigga, you're going to have a great life. It's that simple. So I'm going to end this video, and part 3 and part 4 is definitely going to be coming soon. This one is just about deprogramming from the story that you haven't reconnected with. Deprogramming from the made up story and getting back into your real story. And if you have a hard time with that, refer to my video about trying to connect with your ancient ancestry. You know what I'm saying? Using your genetic memory. So also go into public records, and I'll probably make another video on how you can do genealogy if you can't talk to your family. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Hope you like this video. Peace.